people will want to be doing something like this on their own, but most people hire a pro for this, but it's just nice to understand the process and see what kind of work goes into it and see why you pay what you do to get these beautiful arrangements. I think when you get to a spot where you're pretty happy with it, you should stop. I know most people don't just have a bunch of flowers laying around, but this is kind of what I have laying around. This is just a variety of white roses and mums and other flowers. It's kind of fun to have a mix, but if you just had one kind, that would be fine too. And then we've got these lush colored roses. Adding a touch of pink is what makes it feel like Valentine's Day. And as you get up close to it, people aren't sure if it's real or not because it's just so realistic looking and feeling. We don't want to overdo it with too many different styles and types of flowers because it looks cluttered and actually, to me, doesn't look as expensive, and we want it to look very luxurious. It's important to use high-end flowers to make your design shine. What's the point of putting all the time and energy and effort into it if it just looks cheap, right? You don't want that. So the real key to having luxury arrangements is having kind of something a little wild and asymmetrical and something with lots of different types of greenery and texture. And then my favorite and my showstopper flower is definitely the orchids. I really want to be mindful of where I place because I want it to be like boom. Wow, that's the flower. The weather I could drown in my heart. Not crazy enough to go outside. Voila! It's like popping champagne, you know? So I'm always trying to reuse arrangements. And these noodles can really take a beating. So. I'm like a bird, I'm like a bird, I'm like a bird in the sky. I'm like a bird in the sky. I'll tell you what, this isn't fun. Woo. So creating some type of a shape. For me, I want it to be a little wider here. And then I always like it to have some height somewhere in the middle. Everything always looks weird at first until you start really getting all the pieces in there. So don't hesitate. Just keep kind of plugging away. Trying to imagine a finished shape. It shouldn't be perfectly symmetrical. Real flowers are not perfectly symmetrical. There is beauty in symmetry, but we want it to still look natural. These are silk. With real flowers, of course, it looks a little different. The feel is a little different. You can smell the flowers, which is lovely. But some people are allergic, so it's always preference. No shame in either way. Plus, these silk flowers last forever, so that's always a nice thing too. This is like a keepsake you can have for years and years. Whereas fresh flowers are a quick one and done experience. But silk flowers for your tablescape, and then give fresh flowers as a gift too. So it's all on the table. All on the table. The real key to having luxury arrangements is having kind of something a little wild and asymmetrical, and something with lots of different types of greenery and texture. If you just use one type, it really doesn't look very realistic or interesting. So it also doesn't look very expensive. So I like filling in most of the spaces. I always look at it and spin it and make sure that I'm not really seeing a lot of white space or noodle for that matter. Of course, when we put flowers in here, it's going to fill in anything extra that you're seeing, but it's good to look at it from different angles and different perspectives and making sure that there's not obvious spaces and holes or gaps sticking out. So here's, I think, a good greenery base for this arrangement. There are more pieces, but just because we have them doesn't mean we need to use all of them. I think when you get to a spot where you're pretty happy with it, you should stop. It'll start looking like a good haircut. You know? People who are brand new at cutting hair, it looks a little choppy and a little squared off, but as you get better and better at it, you're going to get more texture and shape for sure. Every time I get a rose, I try and open it up so it really gets full. Looks more interesting that way. I know most people don't just have a bunch of flowers laying around, but this is kind of what I had laying around here at this venue, you know. These are cute little poofs. Again, we're making it asymmetrical. We're trying to space it out so that way there's room for our showstoppers. The roses we always want to open up like this, and this is the same with fresh flowers. From going from this, oh, I just popped the head off. See, this looks a little bit sad, and then when you open it up, it looks like this big, beautiful, fully bloomed rose. Now we've got this big, luxurious flower. 1, 2, 3. Thanks to the tree. Of where I place because I want it to be like boom. So I'm just gonna go right up kind of in the middle here, but at a slight angle. And I don't want anything stealing the thunder, but we can have this rose kind of angled a little bit better. That's really beautiful too. And then just repositioning things a little bit to make it really stand out.
Amazing.
Yeah, and that's a nice one. And then we have a few of these nice pink colored flowers, which to me, I really like things to be a little bit simpler and a little more monochromatic, but adding a touch of pink is what makes it feel like Valentine's Day. So these really gorgeous roses, these are velvet to the touch, so that makes it kind of unique and interesting, and as you get up close to it, people aren't sure if it's real or not because it's just so realistic looking and feeling. It's important to use high-end flowers to make your design shine. What's the point of putting all the time and energy and effort into it if it just looks cheap, right? You don't want that. A lot of people get concerned that things don't match exactly. They don't have to match, they just have to complement each other. There's different color schemes that complement each other, so we don't want perfectly matching pink everything. Having a variety of different pinks actually, again, makes it look more natural, because real flowers are not the exact same color. also like things to be different heights and sizes and shapes here in my arrangement. I can fit another pink rose right there without taking away from the orchid. And personally, I like things to be odd numbers. I think it looks nice having odd numbers because then you have like one popping out over here and one special thing over here and one special thing. Sometimes people want to do opposites and have equals, and that's okay, but it's not really my thing. I guess it's preference. And as an artist and a creator, you're allowed to do whatever you want. I'm gonna put one more flower, and then I think this one is gonna be finished. It's never finished until I do one more flower. There we go. Now I would say we have a very stunning tablescape that would really wow just about anybody. This tablescape is very impressive. I think if anyone walked into a room and they weren't expecting to have this very romantic dinner or this romantic setting, they would be absolutely floored. So stay tuned to what's going to happen next.